نحمده ونصلي على رسول الكريم ونشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له ونشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. Respected viewers and listeners, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Today we shall try to read few more verses from chapter number 2. That's Al-Baqarah, starting from verse number 195. 195. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. In the name of Allah, the most compassionate, the most merciful. وَأَتِمُّ الْحَجَّ وَأَنْفِقُوا فِي سَبِيلِ اللَّهِ, and spend your wealth in the cause of Allah. وَلَا تُلْقُوا بِأَيْدِيكُمْ إِلَى التَّهْلُكَةِ, and don't make not your own hands to contribute for your destruction. وَأَحْسِنُوا, and do good. إِنَّ اللَّهَ يُحِبُّ الْمُحْسِنِينَ, verily Allah loves those who are doers of good. وَأَتِمُّ الْحَجَّ وَالْأُمْرَةَ لِلَّهِ, and complete Hajj and Umrah only for Allah. فَإِنْ أُحْصِرْتُمْ, if you are prevented or if you get held up somewhere, فَمَا اسْتَيْسَرَ مِنَ الْهَدْيِ, then send a sacrificial animal, what is available or what you can afford. وَلَا تَحْلِقُوا رُؤُوسَكُمْ, but don't shave off your heads. حَتَّى يَبْلُغَ الْهَدْيُ مَحِلَّهُ, till the sacrificial animal reaches the place of sacrifice. فَمَنْ كَانَ مِنْكُمْ مَرِيضًا, whoever amongst you will be sick, أَوْ بِأَذْمِ رَأْسِهِ, or he has some ailment in his scalp, فَفِدْيَةٌ مِنْ صِيَامٍ, then compensation to be paid in the form of fasting, أَوْ صَدَقَةٍ, or some charity, أَوْ نُسُك, or sacrificing an animal. فَإِذَا أَمِنْتُمْ, and when you are secure in a peaceful condition, فَمَنْ تَمَتَّعَ بِالْأُمْرَةِ إِلَى الْحَجِّ, and whoever intends to perform Umrah till the time of Hajj, فَمَا اسْتَيْسَرَ مِنَ الْهَدْيِ, let him offer a sacrifice what is easy for him. فَمَنْ لَمْ يَجِدْ, and who cannot afford a sacrifice, فَصِيَامُ ثَلَاثَةِ أَيَّامٍ, then 3 days fasting, fil Hajj, during the Hajj period, وَسَبْعَةٍ إِذَا رَجَعْتُمْ, and 7 days fasting when you return back to your homes. تِلْكَ عَشَرَةُ كَامِلَةٌ, this makes it perfect 10. ذَلِكَ لِمَنْ لَمْ يَكُنْ أَهْلُهُ هَذَا الْمَسْجِدِ الْحَرَامِ, this ordinance is for those who don't live or reside within the precincts of Haram. وَاتَّقُوا اللَّهَ, and fear Allah. وَعْلَمُوا, and know it, أَنَّ اللَّهَ شَدِيدُ الْعِقَابِ, surely Allah is severe in punishment. Al-Hajj Ashhur Ma'lumat. Al-Hajj Ashhur Ma'lumat. The Hajj months are well known. Al-Hajj Ashhur Ma'lumat, Hajj months are well known. فَمَنْ فَرَدَ فِيهِنَ الْحَجِّ, who makes Hajj obligatory upon himself during that period, فَلَا رَفَثَ, there should be no obscenity, وَلَا فُسُوقَ, nor any disobedience, وَلَا جِدَالَ فِي الْحَجِّ, nor any disputing or arguments fil Hajj during that period. مَا تَفْعَلُ مِنْ خَيْرٍ, and whatever good you do, يَعْلَمُهُ اللَّهُ, Allah knows it. وَتَزَوَّدُوا, and take provisions with you. فَإِنَّ خَيْرَ الزَّادِ التَّقْوَى, surely the best of the provisions is piety and righteousness. وَاتَّقُونَ, and fear me alone, يَا أُولِي الْأَلْبَابِ, O men of understanding, is connected with the verses which we studied before that. That means about fighting in the way of Allah. I hope you remember the discourse we started from verse number 190, when it was addressed to believers, an ordinance or permission was granted them. وَقَاتِلُوا فِي سَبِيلِ اللَّهِ الَّذِينَ يُقَاتِلُونَكُمْ, fight in the way of Allah against those who impose fighting against you. وَلَا تَعْتَدُوا, but don't cross limits, because Allah doesn't like those who transgress or who cross limits. The discussion started from that. And then we came to know what are the do's and don'ts. How to, if somebody has to fight in the way of Allah, to fulfill the divine command, how he has to behave and what should be his aims and objectives. This is, in that connection, it says, since during wars, it's not only self-sacrifice, one has to lay down his life. That's the best part of it, laying down one's own life. But during battle, one has to spend his wealth also. Here we have to remember, it was that period, 1400 years back, when army was not an established institution of the state. Whenever there was some tribe would initiate a war against another tribe, or some tribals would like to attack others, it was that whole tribe, all the adult males had to participate in that, and that continued till during the Caliphate period. Army was established as an institution. وَلَا تُلْقُوا بِأَيْدِيكُمْ إِلَى التَّهْلُكَةِ. Make not your own hands to contribute to your own destruction. That means when there's a fight between right and wrong, between forces of piety and righteousness, and between forces of paganism and enemies and anti-Islamic forces, if you don't spend out of your heart, that means you are creating the situation where it would mean ultimate destruction of your own self, destruction of your state. It may affect even your faith. It may lead to total destruction. And that is not desired thing. That's why in this verse it says, وَأَنْفِقُوا فِي سَبِيلِ, that during war times, spend in the way of Allah, in the cause of Allah. وَلَا تُلْقُوا بِأَيْدِيكُمْ تَهْلُكَةِ. Make not your hands to contribute for your own destruction. وَأَحْسِنُوا, and do good always, even during war times and in any situation. Quran time and again emphasizes that one has to adopt the path of piety, goodness, honesty, and straightforward. وَأَحْسِنُوا, and be good. إِنَّ اللَّهَ يُحِبُّ الْمُحْسِنِينَ. Verily Allah loves the doers of good. Now comes another, that's about Hajj and Umrah. For the first time we found this in Quran, that believers asked to perform Hajj and Umrah. About Hajj and Umrah we know, we had talked about it even before. Hajj is performed in 5 days. Hajj time days are starting from 8th of Zil-Hijj. That's 12th month of Muslim calendar, last month of Muslim calendar, 12th month, starting from 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12 Zil-Hijj. When Hajj is performed, epicenter of Hajj, is Mina. Making Mina as a center of activity during Hajj. One has to visit many places, stay in Mina overnight, and then of course for 2 days again, after completing the rites of Hajj. And then it's from Mina, the pilgrims have to advance wearing ihram, that's prerequisite for Hajj or Umrah. Then from Mina, pilgrims have to march early morning, that's on 9th of Zil-Hijj, they have to march towards Arafat, the grounds of Arafat, chanting that Labbaik Allahumma Labbaik, Labbaik Allahumma Labbaik, Labbaik la sharika lak, Labbaik, Innal hamda wa ni'mata laka wal mulk la sharika lak. Oh Allah, I present myself before you, because you are my Lord. And that's the short meaning of this, Labbaik Allahumma, what we call Talbiyah. And spending 9th of Zil-Hijj till sunset in Arafat, then that's what is Hajj. Just after sunset, on 9th of Zil-Hijj, pilgrims start their onward journey. On their return journey, they reach another place in between Arafat and Mina, that's called Muzdalifah. It is during night that pilgrims reach there, and they have to stay overnight at Muzdalifah, or what's also called Mashar al-Haram. Spending that night in Mashar al-Haram, in the morning of 10th Zil-Hijj, pilgrims are asked to move ahead towards Mina again, and that Rami is to perform, Rami Jamarat, that means throwing pebbles on the symbols of Satan's. And then firstly offer sacrifices, that's to be performed, and then shave heads, and then head towards Haram, that is the sacred masjid, perform circumambulations, and 2 and 4 moments between Safa and Marwa. and then coming back to Mina, because Mina is the center, and then spend 2 or 3 days in Mina. That's Hajj in all. Whereas Umrah, on the other hand, can be performed at any time of the year, all 12 months, any time. But rites to be performed in Umrah are very limited. In other words, whereas Hajj is to be completed in at least 5 days, maybe sometimes 6 also, but normally 5 days. Whereas Umrah can be performed just within a couple of hours, just 2 hours duration. That's Umrah, limited rites. That one has to enter Miqat, as in Hajj, we have to wear ihram, that white robes, 2 pieces of unseen cloth, white color, preferably white colored. Then move towards Makkah, directly to Makkah. Umrah is to be performed in Makkah. We head towards Makkah, to the sacred masjid. Then we go inside, circumambulate around Kaaba, make 7 rounds around Kaaba. Then pray a couple of rakats, drink a few drops or some amount of Zamzam waters, and then making 7 rounds between Safa and Marwa, and then shaving of heads. That's all. Remove ihram, and now you are in normal situation, because it just said Atimul Hajj wal Umrah, Umratan lillah. You perform Hajj and Umrah. I hope now you understand the basic difference between Hajj and Umrah. Hajj is to be performed at specific period. That's 5 days between 8th and 12th Zilhijjah. And many rites are to be performed, and most of the people don't understand. Even I have seen pilgrims not understanding this. That Hajj, center of Hajj is Mina, not Makkah. Making Mina as center, they have to move here and there to go to Arafat, as I told you, then move to Muzdalifah, then head towards Makkah again, perform circumambulations and movement between Safa and Marwa, 2 and 4 moments, moving between them. Then during that Hajj, one has to shave off one's head, also meals have to have, and then offer sacrifices. And one more rite to be performed during Hajj is throwing pebbles on the statues or symbols of Satan, devils, at 3 places. And then stay in Mina for 2 or 3 days. That makes a big thing. 5 days. Whereas Umrah is performed just a couple of hours. Wearing ihram, one heads towards Makkah, performs circumambulation or tawaf around Kaaba, offers 2 rakah salah, and then moves between Safa and Marwa 7 rounds, which takes half an hour or so. Shave off his head, he's done. He can return back home. That's Wa'atimal Hajj wal Umrata lillah. This I explained this because I have seen many pilgrims, many Muslims who are eligible for Hajj. But when I tell them or they discuss between themselves, they generally say that this year we shall go for Umrah. Why? When they are asked why, they said simply because we want to get first trained, because for Umrah we can go around the year anytime during the calendar year. So that we are well trained for Hajj, and next year we'll go for Hajj. But they don't know. Hajj, as I told you just now, Hajj and Umrah we should not confuse that. Hajj is for 5 days, but Umrah within 2 hours. So how can one be trained for Hajj while performing Umrah? And number 2, once we go for Hajj, anybody amongst us goes for Hajj, on his arrival in Makkah, he first performs Umrah and then goes for Hajj too. So in Hajj travel, pilgrimage, we perform both. Yes, of course. A person who can't afford to go for Hajj, he doesn't have such means and such amount of money with him, he has lesser amount, so such person can go for Umrah. Or after performing Hajj, if he can afford, he can go for Umrah once or more times. Okay, it is Wa'atimal Hajj wal Umrah. But perform Hajj and Umrah lillah, for Allah. This is prerequisite in all Islamic ibadah or worship. That any ibadah, anything which Muslim does, it should not be for any other reason than seeking pleasure of Allah, seeking His countenance, and obeying His commands, not to fulfill his personal ambitions or personal desires. That nullifies the whole effect of the ibadah. Whether it is salah, if you perform salah, why? You have to simply perform because Allah we are doing it for the sake of Allah. You are not that others should see you are praying, or others should feel, yes, he has gone to Hajj pilgrimage. That nullifies everything. It's simply, similarly, we read just a couple of days earlier. Waqatul, you fight, even fighting. What is? Fi sabilillah, in the cause of Allah. Everything, no ibadah, no worship, no act of piety, even if it's small act, that if we remove a pebble from the roadside, lest it may hurt some passerby, is a sadaqah defined by Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, a kind of charity. But even small, that should be done simply for Allah, not for personal gains, or personal fame, or just to make a show or advertisement out of it. Everything, starting from that removing pebble, till up to the performance of Hajj, which is the greatest, one of the greatest ibadah, which one does once in lifetime. Everything, it's only for Allah. No other ambition, no other desire other than that. Then Quran says, "Fine uhsirtum." Once you start journey of Hajj, if you are held up somewhere, you are prevented due to circumstances or enemies or some wartime condition or due to ailment, anytime, anyway, if you start your journey to Hajj, but you are not in a position to complete, you are prevented or you are held up due to circumstances or some adverse situations, then what's the ordinance? Then, okay, you are held up somewhere, you send a sacrifice, an animal, for sacrifice. Wala tahliku rusakum. Since shaving of head is one of the rituals of Hajj, but it said, Wala tahliku rusakum. Such people who are held up, who are prevented, cannot continue, proceed to a Hajj journey, they should not shave off their heads. Hatta yablug al-hadi till that animal reaches its sacrificial place, that's Makkah or Mina. When it reaches there, then only he can shave his head. Faman kana minkum marida. Then if somebody is sick, suffering from some ailment, or there is some problem, in his scalp, in his head, maybe some skin problem. That means if he has to shave off his head before the prescribed times, then if he's forced by circumstance, by ailment, or second skin problem, or some head problem, he goes for shaving off his head, for fidyatun min siyam. Then he has to compensate it by fasting. This fasting here, but Prophet peace on explained in Hadith, 3 days fasting. He has to go to compensate, he has to go for 3 days fasting, or sadaqah, or charity. What this charity is also explained in Hadith by beloved Prophet, peace be upon him, or he has to feed 6 needy people, give them good food, which you yourself eat. Or a sacrifice, that means either sheep or goat is to be sacrificed to compensate for shaving off your head before the prescribed time. Faida amintum, then the other kind, Faida amintum, and when you are in secure and in peaceful condition, that means you go for Hajj, that situation is normal. You reach Makkah, but there is time left for Hajj. There's still time, 10 days, 15 days, a month as we go from this place. We go for Hajj pilgrimage, but there's time. And situation is peaceful. Security around, nothing, no problem, no prevention, no obstruction. Faida amintum, when you're secure, conditions are conducive and normal. Whoever intends, who would like to go for Umrah before performing Hajj, because there's enough time left for him, he can perform Umrah before proceeding to Hajj. That kind of Hajj is called Hajj Tamattu. Because Hajj is of 3 kinds. I don't want to go into the technicalities. This is one of the Hajj Tamattu. Another Hajj Ifrad. But it's only mentioned here, Hajj Tamattu. That means when a person goes for Hajj and this situation is good, conducive, peaceful, and there's some time left for Hajj, so you already you perform first Umrah. And then when Hajj time comes, after performing Umrah, you remove your ihram, the robe, that's white robe, you remove. And then when Hajj time comes, that's 8 of Zilhijjah, you wear it again and perform Hajj for 5 days. That kind of Hajj is called Hajj Tamattu. It's about that. فَإِذَا أَمِنْتُمْ, when you are in peaceful situation, secure. فَمَنْ تَمَتَّعَ بِالْعُمْرَةِ إِلَى الْحَجِّ, who would like to or who would intend to perform Umrah till the time of Hajj. فَمَسْتَيْسَرَ مِنَ الْحَجِّ, for such Hajjis, that means who perform this kind of Hajj, Hajj Tamattu, he has to offer a sacrifice which is available to him, which he can afford. فَمَنْ لَمْ يَجِدْ, but one who is not in a position to perform that, to sacrifice an animal, who can't afford it, or what it may not be available to him, then first then he has to fast for 3 days in Hajj, during Hajj, and for 7 days on his return back home. This makes it perfect 10. This ordinance is for those people whose families or who themselves do not reside within the precincts of Haram. Because as we call Hudud Haram, an imaginary circle around Haram, that's called Hudud Haram. One who doesn't live within the precincts of that. Hajj Tamattu can be only performed by him, that he joins Umrah with Hajj. Is only this concession for them. But who are the residents of that place? No, they cannot do it. Because they should perform Hajj Ifrad. Because they can perform Umrah at any time of the year. They are there. They can go any weekend, in the morning, in the evenings, and perform Umrah and go. So this concession of performing Umrah together with Hajj, that's Hajj Tamattu, is only for those who don't reside or live within the precincts of Haram. One thing is to be taken care of. Well, since this program is meant for the beginners, for our younger generation. So don't get frightened by this, because some things are practical things which is difficult to. I have tried to simplify it, make it easy for you. But since these are technical things and directly connected with the practice of a Muslim, so it's not so easy to memorize or understand fully, unless once inshallah you go for Hajj, you'll understand all these technicalities. So don't you worry if there's a problem understanding this. Though I have tried to make it so easy for you, but don't you worry. Once you go inshallah for Umrah Hajj, everything will be clear. It's like this: somebody is trained for swimming and he's given a training period. But in a room, he's asking, okay, once you go to a swimming pool, or you would like to swim in a river or on a sea, so see what you have to do. You have to keep your right arm like this, then strike your left hand on the water, and then push with your belly or chest, then move your right leg and left leg. So it is all theoretical. Okay, that's really essential, but it's theoretical part. But what actually happens once you jump into the river, you can also understand what to do, when to do, how to do. When to raise your right and then left hand, how to move your lower feet and limbs, and how to strike your chest against water, how to push ahead for march. That's it, like this. Wattaqullah, and fear Allah. Wa'lamu, and know it, anna Allah shadidul iqab. Allah is severe in punishment. That means you have to follow the instructions. Don't take things for granted. These are to be, all obligations are to be fulfilled. Now, its statement continues about Hajj. Al-Hajju Ashur Ma'lumat. Al-Hajju Ashur means months. Hajj months are well known. Generally, according to Hadith, 3 months are reserved for Hajj. Well, the Umrah can be performed anytime, but Hajj months are Shawwal, that is 10th month of Muslim calendar, Zilhijjah, 11th month of Muslim calendar, and Zikad, that's 12th month of Muslim Islamic calendar, lunar calendar. These are Hajj months, considered to be Hajj months. These have been declared as Hajj months. Quran says, Al-Hajju Ashur Ma'lumat. Hajj months are well known. They're well known about Hajj, when to perform Hajj. But then it says, فَمَنْ فَرَدَ فِيهِنَ الْحَجَّ, who makes upon himself obligatory Hajj. And that means the person who leaves his home and then reaches Miqat, that means where from precincts of Haram start. If we do it on today, when we go, and we have to wear ihram, we can't enter haram, that hudud haram, what we call, without wearing ihram in our own dress. We cannot. That means you have made an intention of Hajj. Now you are practically starting this process. That is meant here. وَمَنْ فَرَدَ فِيهِنَ الْحَجَّ, and who makes Hajj obligated during that period that he goes. But actual Hajj, I told you, actual Hajj is performed only during 5 days. These are 3 months of Hajj, but actual Hajj is performed in just 5 days. So don't get confused. That means people start journey, moving towards Hajj during Shawwal and Zikr, and because people have to come from far off places. The people who live nearby, they can leave 8th village or in the same village evening and reach their destination. But since people from all over the globe, from Australia to Scandinavia, from California to Karachi, from Delhi to Dallas, from Srinagar to Siberia, from China to Chile, all over people, from New York to New South Wales, where all you people come in flocks to perform Hajj. That's why 3 months are for Hajj, Shawwal, Zikr, Zil Hajj. But actual Hajj is performed just in 5 days. And whoever intends or makes Hajj obligatory and declares his niyyah, wears ihram and marches ahead, there are some restrictions. Fala rafasa. There should be no obscenity, no talks about sexual relations, even between spouses. It's prohibited where you are wearing ihram. No obscenity. Even not between spouses. Forget about rest. That's immoral from any standards at any time. But during ihram, sexual relations, that's what rafasa means, are not allowed for pilgrims once they are wearing ihram of Hajj or Umrah. Wala fusuka, nor any disobedience. One has to try to be too obedient. Most obedient servant of God behave like that. Wala jidala fil Hajj, or nor arguing or disputing between yourselves, no wranglings. But you should control your emotions. Be cool and calm. That's Hajj. Controlling your emotions, even if things go against you. Because things cannot go always as per your wish. Especially during that, when you find millions of people together, heading towards their destination of Hajj. And there are some problems can arise. Some arguments are obvious, but pilgrim has to control his emotions. Because, while wearing, but you should remember one thing. Many people have confusion about that. Any restriction is just 3 restrictions mentioned here. Once you wear ihram, you have started your Hajj journey. Fala rafasa, no obscenity, no sex talks between spouses, forget about with other people, that's banned anytime, every time. And then no disobedience, and there should be no wranglings, no disputes, no arguments and counter-arguments. In addition to that, during ihram, as we see in Hadith, Prophet explained that during ihram, males, that's men folk, they cannot cover their heads. They cannot wear a turban or a cap on their heads. They can't wear shoes, but only sandals, and their ankles and front side of their feet should remain open. They can't wear in socks. And during Hajj, whether male or female, they cannot use scent. Like that, there are a few restrictions. But these restrictions for females, they have to cover their body, of course, but they can't cover their face with some covering which touch their face. The face have to be open. These are few restrictions, but females, there's no problem. They have not to wear ihram, unseen clothes. They can wear their own dress. What are they? But they should be loose, not attractive and shining dress, not so tight dress where the body parts become evident. No, they should avoid wearing ornaments. No, but remember one thing, any restriction, this is only while you are wearing ihram. And interestingly, for Umrah, as I told you, ihram is worn just for a few hours. You reach Makkah, perform circumambulation and Safa Marwa, you are done. Then you take off your ihram and wear normal dress, no restrictions at all, nothing, even relations between spouses. That's okay. No problem. During Hajj, you have to remember, how long we have to wear ihram during Hajj? It's for 2.5 days. This, at most 3 days, we have to wear ihram. And these restrictions of all kinds are only for that period when you are in ihram. Rest is okay, anything. Fully. It is like this. Once we, for example, I give you an example. Once we start Salah, we say Allahu Akbar and we hold our hands on our chest, or we start and Subhanakallah. Certain lawful things become unlawful for us. Talking is lawful, but we cannot talk till we say Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah, Assalamu alaikum, we finish our prayers, we cannot talk. Though talking is not a sin, we can't eat anything or drink anything, though this lawful normal circumstance, but it becomes lawful. We cannot move right, left, or ahead or backwards during Salah. Similarly, there are many restrictions, but these are restrictions. Even lawful activities become unlawful during Salah, during namaz or Salah. Similarly, during when we are ihram of Umrah or Hajj, certain lawful things become unlawful. We have to abstain from those. Not wearing scent or shoes, or covering head with males with turban or cap. That's normal. It is okay in a normal situation. But similarly, sex relations between spouses, husband, wife, that's lawful. That's okay, but not ihram. It prohibits. فَمَنْ فَرَدَ فِينَا الْحَجَّ, who makes Hajj obligatory during that period of time, فَلَا رَفَثَ, then let there be no sex talks or any obscenity, وَلَا فُسُوقَ, nor any disobedience, وَلَا جِدَالَ, nor any arguments or counter-arguments or any disputing during Hajj. وَمَا تَفْعَلُ مِنْ خَيْرٍ, because what are good you do, Allah knows it. Whatever you do, whether you do it openly or secretly, whether you think good in your hearts or you perform some good deeds, Allah knows everything. He knows your intentions and your actions simultaneously both. So He knows everything. But tazawwadu, that's very important point about Hajj. But tazawwadu, keep your provisions with you. That means once you move for Hajj, you have to take your provisions. That means you have the money you need for eating, drinking, staying in a hotel, or for transportation. What are genuine needs you have to take? That's why Hajj is not obligatory on one and all. It's only obligatory upon a person, whether male or female, who can afford it. Because I already told you, there are 5 conditions which when a person fulfills, he becomes eligible for Hajj. Number 1, a person should be Muslim, right? That's prerequisite. Number 2, he should be adult, a major, not minor. Number 3, he should be physically fit, without any ailment or which may hinder his journey. Number 4, he should be mentally fit. For a mentally deranged person, psychotic or neurotic, Hajj cannot be an obligation. And number 5 is a person who can afford to has enough money to pay for his to and fro journey to Makkah and Mina and other places. He has enough money, and he must have the money left for his family, which can manage them, which the family should manage itself in the absence of the head of the family. That's why in Islam, Quran says once you go for it, you should take your provisions along. No, don't go begging, because in many religious communities, it was prevalent that time, and it is remnants even we see today. That once you go for tirth-yatras, for some sacred journeys, it was desirable, it was considered desirable that one should not take any money with him. If he goes to a sacred place on yatras or some other sacred journeys, if he begs for that, that's more desirable. God is pleased with him. Quran said nothing to him. That's not. It's not. One should not be forced of begging. Only person who can afford financially, it's Hajj is obligated upon him only. No, but that's Quran emphasized. Once you go for Hajj, but that's take your provision, take your money, which is needed, genuine, to fulfill your genuine needs. That's worldly. But then Quran says, "Find a khair taqwa." Surely the best provisions are taqwa, piety. That means taking money, making the journey comfortable to Hajj, to Makkah, Mina, Arafat, Medina, and other places. Though this physical journey, that's good, that's one aspect. We have to take money, you have provisions for. But Hajj is not only a physical journey, it's a spiritual journey also. And real is it is actually spiritual journey, because Hajj takes you closer to your Creator. You attain highest level of piety. That's why Quran says, for physical journey, you have to take your provisions, but don't forget your spiritual dimension, spiritual aspect. That's why, for that, piety, righteousness, God-fearing is the best provisions you should take along, we should keep with ourselves, and fear me alone. Ya ulil albab, O men of understanding. صدق الله العظيم وصدق رسوله النبي الكريم والحمد لله رب العالمين.